Hello and welcome. In this video, I will be taking on Joel, the chess bot on chess.com. He's rated 1600, and I will be running my big fat mouth all the way through and showing, like on all my chess videos, I will show my good moves, my bad moves, and show how I got there, and hopefully it helps the audience learn. I learned myself as well. And this game ended on move 48. In this position, I played the black pieces, and so computer says that I ran at about a 87% and my opponent at 77%. So we're looking at Joel on chess.com, the bot 1600. So let's see how I ended up in that position, and we're just going to go through this game. And remember, in the openings, just try to control the center and develop your pieces. That's really the main thing. That's what it comes down to. Everybody's got different ideas. All these openings, some of the names I remember, some of them I don't. I do remember, the patterns and things to watch out for, but I don't always remember their exact names and the variations. It's too much. But I would recommend just starting off with 2 or 3 openings and learning them well. Now the computer says that I made an inaccuracy here, and I actually use this opening a lot. I really like it. I really like putting this pawn here. I think you should try it out and see what you think. I'd be curious to know. Computer knows better than I do. I admit it, but I just like doing that. I don't always do that, but I like that E6 pawn there. Okay. Let's keep this game going. I don't want to make it a long video. I'm going to try to just cover some of the basics. There are some big ideas towards the end of the game that I want to get to. In my other videos, I talk about the openings quite a bit, and this one I want to get towards the end game. There's something there that I want to talk about a little bit more than this. Okay. So here with my Fianchetto, I want to just control this, and if you know me from my other videos, I like to mess up pawn structures, and that's kind of something that I hang on to and try to keep in mind. And so okay, so now my bishop is being threatened there, and so now I do take. Now the computer says I should have got this queen out to protect. I did think about that briefly. I mean, the computer knows better. There's something there. You're getting that queen out. I just saw a chance to mess up a pawn structure, and maybe I hang on to that idea a little too much. But there it is, the messed up pawn structure, and it was an even trade, piece for piece. That bishop was pretty good developed. That probably developed a little better than that knight was. So maybe it wasn't quite an even trade with pieces, but the trade-off, chess is a yin and yang. You can't take something without giving something in return, and so you just have to keep that in mind. And so the trade-off here is my opponent has the messed up pawn structures, which is what I was after. So anyway, we're going to keep this game going. I've got a knight out here that's not really defended by anything. And okay, so now I have an absolute pin. One thing I have to be mindful of is if this queen gets here, let me get those arrows off there. I don't want, a fork. Now, right now it's fine, but if I ever move this queen, I'm, this rook's going to be in trouble. So something to watch out for in the beginning and openings is this queen. When the queen comes out a little too early, just know there's some kind of trick to it. At 1600, very respectable ELO. That queen comes out early. Yeah, watch out. There's a trick. Okay, so let's keep this going. I want to make this a quicker video. So right now, one thing I don't like is my knight's under attack, and my opponent, Joel, 1600, is using his queen, and my queen is pretty tied up at the moment defending a knight. I think I could find a better use for my queen than just to sit there and defend a knight. So let's, that's what I'm thinking in my mind, is let's try to get that situation resolved here. So, computer says again, hey, I made a mistake. Well, I'm sure there's lots of better things that I could have done, but when I was playing the game, I saw this as the best move, and the reason why is because I wanted to own this file. I know it's closed at the moment, but that was my idea. That's why I went there. Just help me control the middle of that. Okay. So the computer says this was a mistake, and okay, yeah, there's probably some other things Joel could have done that was a little better, but it does create a problem for me. I mean, this rook is now lined up with my king. So something to keep an eye on, that's for sure. Okay, let's keep this going. Okay, so here is the thing that in the beginning of the video that I really wanted to talk about was the queen came over here. This is what I wanted to talk about is you have two pieces side by side, and I've got a pawn here. As soon as I come up here, I mean, you're going to lose one of these two pieces. And I also own this square with my knight and my rook, obviously. So there's a lot of danger. I think my opponent should be trying to get one of these pieces out of harm's way, and that's what the computer suggested it should have done. So I wanted to capitalize on this, and it's not too often I get one of these. Yay, yay me. This d4 where it gives me the greatest move. Okay. Or is a great move. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm just not used to seeing that. So sorry, I had to digress just a little bit. So anyway, you see how that works when you have two officers side by side, two pieces side by side, and I own this square here. There's a danger because one of these pieces are going to get captured. Okay, so let's keep this game going. Now here, I cannot retake. That's a pretty good move. I can't capture that because I can't put myself in check. So this is a problem for me, and I have to deal with it because there's a lot of action on my king side. This bishop's coming down. This is coming down. I mean, there's a lot. I gotta be careful here. So I could have gone here to defend that square, but I chose to move the pawn up. Okay, and I still got this to look forward to. So, okay. Yep, you're going to lose one of them, and there it is. So, if you know me from my other videos, once I get up and the pieces count, I just try to simplify the game at that point. And so, right now, let's just take a look here. Minor pieces, I've got 3. My opponent has 2. And major pieces, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3. And my opponent has 1, 2, 3 major pieces. So I'm up a piece. So from this, I'm just going to try to keep simplifying the game. And my opponent should be trying to avoid exchanges, and I should be trying to take them on. So I'm very happy with that. You saw I just did an exchange there. And so I'm simplifying the game, which takes in my favor if I simplify the game, because now I have 2 minor pieces. My opponent only has 1. And worse yet, this pawn structure is terrible. This is not only an isolated pawn, but it's triple. This is something. Oh, definitely try to avoid this. And let's take a look at the piece count, minor piece count. I've got 2. My opponent has 1. Okay, major pieces are the same. Okay, so pawns. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My opponent has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm actually down a pawn compared to my opponent, but I bet they would trade me. Look at this. This is no good. So something to try to avoid, and I love to mess up my opponent's pawn structure. It's something a lot of people forget about. My idea here is I'd love to go here for check. The king does have an escape route, but if you know from my other videos, I like to make just a small box for my king to be able to move around in, and I just try to use your pieces together and really squeeze in around that king. Remember, even just a queen by herself can't do a whole lot. It takes another piece. You've got to get your pieces working together, and you should definitely be thinking about that. Get those pieces work together. Okay, so let's keep this going here. Now my queen's under attack, and so I'm thinking, you know, there's some moves I could do. I really like this being lined up. I like this being lined up. What to do. So I decided to fight fire with fire and do the old, you know, hey, look, you take my queen and I'll take yours. And afterwards, after that exchange, my bishop will be sitting here freely, no attack. Your bishop will be forced to move. I'm forcing you to make moves. And that's what I want. I want to be the one freely making moves. I want my opponent to be in forceful moves where they have to move. You see that bishop has to move. I'm attacking. Mine is free and clear. So I'm making a forceful move here. Okay, let's keep this game going because there's other things I want to get to. So again, Joel wants to do an exchange. If I take the rook, it's going to take my rook. And so that's what happens. But that's where I think that's, you know, we're whittling this game down. Now I have one major piece. My opponent has one major piece. I've got two minor pieces. My opponent only has one minor piece. So again, I'm going to keep looking to do some exchanges here. I am in a wee spot of trouble right there, but I can easily get out of that. And I thought about going down here. I liked the idea of eyeing this. If I can get my knight out of the way to do something, I like the idea of eyeing this. Plus, I might want to queen this, and so that keeps that opened up. So let's keep this game going here. Okay. So this pawn, honestly, it does a little bit scare me. It could come down here and queen. I've seen games where I should have won, and you'd be surprised how badly I could screw it up. So I wanted to, you know, try to take care of that there. Okay, now I can rest easy a little bit there. Okay, so let's keep this going. Dancing around. Sorry about all this dancing around, but I was trying to get rid of this bishop. I want to promote this to a queen, obviously, so I need to, ideally, it's best to take this rook and get it underneath your pawn and then just push it up. Ideally, that's the best way to do it, unless there's other positional things to consider. But let's take a look at this. So here's one of the other things I wanted to show you that you have to know when you're sitting there with your king, is there anything that could happen that can get me in check? That's always one of the things I look for. You know, so Joel's sitting here. Is there anything, can I be brought into check at any point? And the answer is yes. I mean, my knight can go here or here. Now, yes, they can be captured. And so maybe this is where Joel says, well, I feel safe because I can just turn around and take the knight. If it does put me in check, because, you know, if the knight was sitting here or there, then there's check. But the problem with that is, so if Joel's sitting there thinking, well, you know, look, if this guy puts me in check, I'll just take. Okay, yes, that's true. But you have to, this is a special situation where you have to be careful, because here's why. Here's what happens. I own this. And you say, well, your knight's in the way. Yes, but look what happens when I move it. That's check. Has to be dealt with. Okay, and it's dealt with. And so long, Mr. Rook. That's the end of that. So that's the big thing I wanted to show you. And now I'm going to queen, and there it is. Now you've allowed me, Joel has allowed, I'm trying to get, I want to create just a really, you know, small box for the king. Now I know I already own all this, but I want to get this king cut off to where it just can't move it. So that's my idea of coming over here. Okay, so there's check, and now I own this. Look, You know, there is, I mean, you can't even move the king at this point. I've just got it down to that. So, but it is free to move one of the other pieces if it wants, sure. But it's going to be mate. And the bishop just goes here, just out of, there's nothing else really to do. And now it's mate. So, I hope that helps. If you're struggling with Joel and 1600, hope you find this informative. And I've got some other videos out there where I talk about openings a little bit more, and hope that gives you some good ideas. It gives me some good ideas too when I review my games. So thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.